Coming Down is proudly sponsored by Colorado Ganja Gear, high-quality, artistically inspired herb grinders. So let me tell you, these things are great. I actually own one. My favorite part is the perfect consistency you get after grinding. Some grinders just pulverize your herb into dust, but the razor-sharp teeth and smooth action on these always leave you with perfect, fluffy, evenly ground herb. The craftsmanship is top-notch, made from aircraft-grade aluminum to guarantee you won't get metal shavings mixed into your herb. But the best part, truly, is each grinder features original artwork created by Colorado artist Lori Beatty. She creates unique mandalas that are laser-etched into each magnetic lid. And each grinder comes in a silk bag and has free shipping. So just go to etsy.com/shop/Colorado Ganja Gear and enter the code Coming Down in all caps for $5 off, or go to the show notes for this episode and follow the link. Thanks and enjoy the episode. Hello everybody, welcome to Coming Down. My name is Nathan and I am here with Matthew.
Hey everybody.
Hey, so we're going to waste no time here at the top because we've been fucking blabbing on about quitting smoking and all sorts of other bullshit at the top of these for the last couple. So, and this is going to be a long one.
For sure.
So we'll just, I'll ask you, how was your week?
It was great. How was yours?
Fucking rad.
You still have smokes?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, we'll do the short check-in real quick here. I have not smoked a cigarette. 19 days, 11 hours.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Way to go.
It's all right, man. Yeah, I'm making it like full days without cravings, and then other days going insane, but it's all right. It's all right. Like things are smoothing out. So that's all I'll say about that.
Good. I guess we gotta do a shout out here for our newest patron, Sean Sykes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining our Patreon. It's really cool. Everyone who's on it, also thank you. We still love you, and every month it's just so great. It's that we don't have to pay our own bills. So
yes,
way to take that up, everyone. It's just so cool.
Love you guys.
Speaking of that Patreon, we'll just get right into it. If you would like to join, you can go to patreon.com/comingdownpod, and we've got tiers all the way up from $1 up to $10, and the highest tier you get all sorts of swag and goodies. But even at that $1, you get to listen to all our bonus content.
Yeah,
and any other bonus stuff that we happen to come up with, of which we're hoping to work on some more stuff here soon.
Oh yeah, that's right. I got something to pitch to you too.
Oh, do you? Nice. Okay. Oh yeah, we still have that other one we were gonna do, that watch along of the thing about the brain science. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to get to some of that stuff. If you would like to get a hold of us, go to Twitter at comingdownpod, or email us comingdownpod@gmail.com. Those are the best ways to get a hold of us if you just want to shout us out, or if you want to be on the show, or if you want to send me cat memes and wish me well on this quitting smoking nonsense. Because, 19 days in, but I still, it doesn't feel much different than day 3 sometimes. So help me out here.
Stay strong.
Remind me why I'm doing this. Definitely check out the website comingdownpod.com. That has all the links, of which there are many, many pictures for last week's episode and this week. If you haven't figured it out already, as we're breezing through this is going to be the conclusion of that India trip. But our homie was there for a month, so it's long.
There's a ton.
So this is going to be 2+ hours. So, chop it up however you got to, and we'll softball you next week. Other than that, enjoy this episode, and let's go! So as I recall, we discussed this
leaving Goa.
Right, leaving Goa. So we had.
So you'd done the big party. You smoked some hash.
Yeah, we swam in the Arabian Sea, or it was the I think it was the Arabian Sea. Yes, because the Indian Ocean is on the east side, the Arabian Sea is on the west side. That, and I'll take that as a little side note, you really learn a lot more about geography when you actually go to these places. It's I remember, history class and social studies and learning about there's 50 states and all this stuff, but it's man, it's so much easier to commit to memory when you go there.
Oh, 100%.
Yes. So Yeah, it's even fun too. We did the Dead Sea products episode.
Right.
Yes.
But Scott, it was so descriptive with some of it. I actually went on Google Maps and like found the road he was on. It was like, oh
Nice.
shit, and it is in the middle of fucking nowhere. There's nothing out there, you know. It's like, oh shit, man, yeah.
Dead Sea products.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
But yeah, totally.
So okay, so we left Goa. I'm trying to think. That was day. Oh, I don't know.
Well, because that was the party, so it was like day 4 or something,
I want to say
right?
probably day 4 or so. And Goa was a very touristy area. And so we tried to hit chai stands every day. And a chai stand there I could equate to like almost like a rest area. Not in like the proper rest areas that we have here in the U.S. where you pull off and use the bathroom and there's 6 people with signs saying they need gas. And it's like, well, how did you make it this far? You know?
Yeah.
It's just little, because people are, you know, there's 1.3 or 1.4 billion people in India. Everybody's got to hustle. And so a lot of them have little markets or stores or repair shops right out of their house, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so these chai stands they're either little shacks just set up on the side of the road, or they're out of somebody's house where they're just making chai in the mornings. And it's masala, you know, it's milk and the chai spices, and in the morning it's really nice. And the way you can spot them typically is there'll be like 3 or 4 or 5 semi trucks pulled over, because these guys, it's like a morning ritual. It's like going to Starbucks here, you know, or a coffee shop. And they'll just pull over and get a cup of chai, and it's, you know, slightly larger than a shot glass. It's not like a 16 ounce, you know, like you would never see that.
Not a grande.
Like, no, yeah, never ever. Like that's, I mean, you can drink as much as you want, but you're gonna buy these little cups of chai, and like to the traditional way is these little pottery cups, and you drink it, and it's like terracotta pottery. You just drink it and you throw the cup on the ground and break it, and that's because it's clay, and they make more, and that's just like you'll go.
They're not gonna wash them. I mean.
Right, and it's terracotta, so what happens? It breaks, and then people step on it, and it turns back into clay, and you just make more, and whatever. You know, it's not like it's plastic cups littering the ground, which there's plenty of those, plenty of plastic bottles, straw, you know, and I've poo-pooed the straw thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on, until I was there, and then it's like, oh no, it sounds stupid, but no, that's a real problem, especially the real thin plastics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thick, heavy plastics, you can almost guarantee those are going to be recycled, because there's so much material there that it gets recycled. The thin little envelopes of plastic, the plastic bags,
the little cups for creamer at the convenience store,
the lid they put on your cup. You know, what really drives me nuts is they've outlawed in a lot of towns the plastic grocery bags.
Right.
But not the plastic bags that you put your carrots in, or that you put your radishes in. It's like, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Because there's the bigger ones, I'd use those for my waste baskets at home. I'd use those for little garbage.
Right. Usually you get a
bags.
second use out of
exactly.
those.
At least, but those, it's like they're used for like 15 minutes.
You'd
and
be
then
surprised. My mom rinses those fuckers out and dries them off and uses
God
them
bless her. There's
seriously,
like I don't, and it's like
we easily transitioned to non-plastic, just grocery bags, but we have talked a big game about getting reusable produce bags.
It's a
and we just haven't done it yet.
pain, man.
Yeah,
it
seems like a pain.
I pay the nickel for the paper, and I don't care. And it's like, I don't have time to. Well, I do, but I don't think about bringing the recyclable ones or the reusable ones. So I just pay for the paper, whatever, and then I put them in my recycling container. And it's because it'll just get recycled. I assume it'll get recycled, and if not, at least it's not plastic.
Right,
it'll break down into nothing. So.
Yeah.
So anyway,
recycling rant.
Yeah.
Recycle your plastics, people.
Yeah, seriously. And and I'm glad that I think China is refusing to take our plastics too.
They are.
Yep.
That's hopefully helping to like cut down on some of the plastics, because all this garbage ends up in these third world countries like India.
Right.
And what do they do with it? They burn it or bury it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that doesn't solve the problem. Either putting it in the air and goodbye ozone layer and their lungs, or...
Well, right, yeah, that's the biggest thing, because didn't India recently just have a huge air quality problem?
Oh, yeah.
I think it was India, or maybe it was China.
Well, both.
Yeah, but
Both
yeah.
have huge problems with air quality. China's the worst.
Yeah, no, it was Delhi, and they
Yes.
actually had to put a restriction on cars, so it was like
ban them.
Well, it was like, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, cars with even-ending license plates could drive. And
Beijing's
then,
doing that shit, too.
Other days, the odd ends could drive. But yeah, it was like...
New Delhi's one of the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went north out of Goa, and coming out of Goa was windy roads. I would liken it, because you're on the coast still.
Oh,
So
sure.
it's kind of like driving on the Oregon coast.
Right.
It's windy-ass roads. Fortunately, we're in the auto rickshaw, so we're in about the slowest thing on the road. So it's not like you're behind a motorhome going, come on, hurry up.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say your average speed was? Like 20 miles an hour?
Well, let's see. So 50 kilometers an hour was the top speed, and 6 times 5 is 30. So, yeah, probably about 20 average. We would average 150 to 200 kilometers a day.
Okay.
So 90 to 120 miles a day.
Yeah.
And that's a long day of driving. That's
Right,
like
that's
10
all day,
hours. That's
yeah.
an all-day drive. I think there might have been one day where we pushed close to 300 maybe, but we're on a really good stretch of the national highway. And that's another thing is, so we get out of Goa and we're heading north, and it's like, okay, well, we took a day, we diverted through Goa, so we want to make up a little bit of time, because they had an app where you could kind of track some of the teams, like if you had a spot tracker, which is like if you're hiking in the wilderness, or
Right.
some people who like to do insane adventures, they'll buy a spot tracker, and it's a GPS tracker that can upload your location to the internet. And also, if you have an emergency, you can press a button and then people can find you. Which
And it's like a satellite connection?
exactly,
Yeah.
GPS satellite connection, and like if you're doing insane wilderness hikes, or if you are hiking alone, or if you're one of those people that climbs up Mount Hood that needs to be rescued by the Blackhawks every year,
Right.
you should. It's like, I feel like you are irresponsible if you don't have a spot tracker with you. They're not that expensive.
I was going to say,
they're really
and even if they're $300 or $400.
and that's about what they are. It's about $300 bucks,
great.
I think.
Yeah, just get
Well,
one.
I want to say Mark had one on the PCH, right? Like,
I
or was he saying that other people had them? I don't know.
I don't remember if he said he had one. I don't think he did, to be honest,
Okay.
but I'm not sure.
It sounds like there's a lot of people on that, though, that like you're going to run into somebody unless you get into some weird sort of time of year where nobody's
Yeah.
on the trail. But-
Yeah.
Right.
So we did not have a spot tracker. However, I would say that because of my cell phone carrier, I actually had pretty good coverage. Definitely near the big cities, but we got into the Western Ghats. So we left out of Goa, we headed north, we went along the we went along the coast, and then you kind of cut north, and it kind of like funnels you towards Mumbai, which is like, you were talking about how you guys went down to LA, and it's like, oh, we're going to go around LA, but there's
Yeah.
no going around
Not really.
LA.
God, not really.
Because everything kind of goes in that direction, and if it's not going through the heart of LA, you're still in metropolitan traffic.
Yeah.
So Mumbai being the, I think, second or third largest city in the world, we're like, okay, we're in an auto rickshaw. We don't want to drive through this city of, I don't know, 20 million people or something.
Right.
I mean, it's like,
Yes.
no way. Like, no way. And it's on the coast, and so you got bridges and all sorts of, and there's a lot of roads they don't allow auto rickshaws on.
Oh.
There'll be a sign. It'll have a picture of a rickshaw, but like a lot of laws in India, with your white privilege, you just kind of wave and act like a stupid tourist, and they just let you go.
Yeah.
Whatever. So headed north, and we're like, okay, we're going to skirt around Mumbai, which from where we were in Goa we could kind of do it. Pune is kind of our next stop.
What was did you go to the ashram in Pune?
No, we did not, because Pune is another one of those cities that's like insanely huge. it's not like, oh, we're gonna go kick it. Like it's not. I mean, it's not even like Portland. I mean, it's in like millions and millions of people.
I was just kidding anyway. That's the name of the movie about the Rajneeshis, Ashram and Pune.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit already. Yeah.
So it was. Pune is a diamond polishing hub.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting. So it's a very industrial city. Like there's smokestacks, pollution, a lot of pollution. I would say ghettos, but they're not ghettos. They're more just like
slums.
Slums. Yeah, there you go. That's the right word for it. So let's see. Did we go through Kolhapur, Amboli? I'm thinking that we probably did. So Punaluu. No, not Punaluu. That's Hawaii. Palolem Beach. And then, I think our next stop, we actually made it to Pune the next day. We might have stopped in Satara, but I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
I just know that, I had the hash tucked into one of the sewn folds of the top of the auto rickshaw, and then I was paranoid because, man, just with my run-ins when I was younger, you get like a police paranoia, and so it was like, oh man, like if they find this, like, because India is like, you'll get in big trouble, especially as a foreigner, like locked up abroad, like it's no joke. So we got to Pune and we stayed at a very nice hotel in Pune. It was like, gosh, I don't remember the name of the hotel, but it was it's a hotel that they've got here in the U.S. It's like Four Seasons or something, one of the nice ones. Okay. That's like a high-rise hotel, and so they took us to our room, and of course they've got concierge and bellhop, like you'd have in a big city in the U.S., but they're not disgruntled, and they actually do their job. And
I think we might have jumped ahead and talked about this a little bit. This is where they're kind of waiting on you hand and foot, right?
No, that was actually in Bangalore, but this is everywhere. Yeah, honestly, it's everywhere.
Okay,
and so Pune was neat, except so I get to my room and I put my backpack down, because really I had my backpack and one other bag. That we each had our backpacks in one other bag, and the other bag we threw on top. There's a little roof rack, and we threw it on top, and so we get to our hotel and we each take a bag, and it had like EpiPens, hammock, medicine. Like I'd got my malaria pills before I left, so you got to take a malaria pill every day.
Right.
And then I had my antibiotics for diarrhea, and then I had my Imodium, and we had water bottles, and we'd take pretty much everything just because you don't want to get your stuff stolen.
Right.
Now.
Right. Well, you're in the rickshaw. You can't lock it up.
No, there's nothing to lock. There's no doors on the damn thing.
Right.
So you take pretty much everything, but I honestly felt like I could have left a lot more stuff. Like, I know there's thieves everywhere, but really the people there, for the most part, they had security guards watching stuff. They had cameras. And I'm sure other people have had horrible experiences, and maybe I just have dumb luck. But I'm nice to people, and it seems like when your first interaction with somebody is a smile, a please, and a thank you, and showing a little gratitude, that you start off on the right foot with them. Yeah. And so they're less likely to be like, well, kiss my ass, I'm going to take something from this guy to make him hurt, Right. Because, so just having gratitude and
humanize the situation a little bit.
Exactly.
Totally.
And then when you're peeling off lots of rupees too, because you don't realize that that's way more than you're supposed to give, then that works really good too.
Hey, what do you know?
So I get to my room, which is this amazing. I am fine with staying in a cheap hotel. It's fine. And honestly, when I first started this trip, I thought, okay, if I go alone, I'm gonna hammock up. I'm just gonna find two close trees and put my hammock up, and I'll take a solar shower, I'll pour some bottled water over my head and lather up and pour another bottle over my head and rinse off. Like, I was fine with that. Like, it's okay. I do enjoy showers, but I was totally willing to rough it on this trip. And so when my friend was like, no, I want to stay at this hotel. And in Pune, he kind of was not, his stomach was hurting him. He wasn't feeling that good. And he's like, I want to stay at this hotel. And so that was the one we stayed at. And, it was a high rise, so there's not like a balcony or anything, and it wasn't like a 2-story. So I look out my balcony, and because a lot of India is growing fast, like the Middle East, like China, you'll have a skyscraper next to a 500-year-old plot of land that people have been living on for generations.
Yeah.
And I look out the window, and there's a slum down there. And I see, and I'm observing, because it's like, I have never seen this before.
Right.
Well, I mean, in India, but in my entire life leading up to this adventure, I'd never seen anything like this. And so I'm seeing, like, okay, there's kids coming out of and I'm talking, when I say slum, it's like buildings made of, and by building, I mean single-story dwellings made of random pieces of wood, made of corrugated steel, possibly rags and stuff just for privacy.
Just little like shanty.
Basically whatever you can find.
Mud huts, some of them like partial, like this wall's mud, corrugated steel on the next wall.
Yeah.
Just whatever you, like you say, whatever you can find. And they'll have, okay, and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, there's a boy and a girl and they're running around and they're playing with a few other neighborhood kids. And I'm at like my 8th or 9th floor, you know, suite with hot water and king-size bed, which I don't even need. And
yeah, jeez,
it's insane. And then, okay, here's mom and dad and grandpa and grandma, and they've got pigs and goats running around, and they've got a fire going because they're cooking outside. Now, where they go to the bathroom is probably outside.
Right.
And I can tell that fire is a trash fire because the amount of smoke coming off of it. It's not like, I mean, dry palm leaves and stuff, I mean, it's just going to burn. You know, it's dry. But plastic has this acrid smoke that just comes off of it. And so they just grab whatever will burn, not what's safe to burn or you know,
what will burn.
Yeah, it's like you start with that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So they're cooking food over burning plastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Cooking food over burning plastic. Wash their clothes in dirty, you know, whatever river happens to run through there that's polluted by the pharmaceutical compounds, by the dead animals, by the chemical factories that are dumping whatever into them.
Right. Good God, man. Yeah, that must really put things in perspective, you know? Just like sitting in that.
It made me, like, there was several times in India where it was like, I had a real tough time. Like, it's like, okay, I've got way, way more than I need. Like, even right here. Not counting the mountain of shit I have back home.
Yeah. Like,
right here, right now, I've got a backpack that's got everything I need. But if I lost half of it, I'd be okay.
Yeah,
it's comfort stuff. But like this hotel room, it's like what would they do if I like went down there and like brought up a house load of Indians to like have a proper hot shower and like, hey, take my blankets and shit. Like,
right?
Can you guys use some mattress? Like, I mean, like just start hauling this shit out of here. Like, not thrashing a hotel room, but just stripping it bare because like and then I'm thinking about the people that work in this hotel. Where do they live? Right. Well, they probably live in a situation like that. I would imagine, I don't know, I'd imagine there's some sort of shower at the work and they have their work clothes that are probably laundered there for them. So, I mean, they're not like well-to-do. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but just my gut tells me, nah, these people that are working, because it's like, think about here in the U.S., it's like people that are like working at these hotels where you're paying $400 or $500 a night. They could never afford a room like that.
Right.
Not even close.
Right.
The housekeepers are making a little over minimum wage, probably.
Right.
The people working in the restaurant are probably a little over minimum wage, and they're hoping for tips. The front desk people are everybody's in the same boat, except for the guest.
Right.
And it's so much more expensive because it's like I'm looking at it like this is expensive by U.S. standards. So
geez, yeah.
an Indian is never going to be able, the average Indian is never going to be able to afford staying in a place like this. So the disparity between the people staying here and the people working here has got to be insane. And then I see the food that they're laying out, because it's like they do now. The food, it's not like here in America where a lot of hotels nowadays they include a breakfast.
Yeah,
Right.
There, every once in a while a place included, but most of the places you just paid for breakfast separately, and they were insane, like full buffet, like not American like trough buffets, but like they had all these plates of different things set out, and they had Indian breakfast, they had European breakfast, they had American breakfast, and all these different things, and.
I'd like some tandoori bacon, please.
I mean, and they do not know how to cook bacon there. No, it's super thin.
Well,
it's
they cook it English style, right? Where
I don't know what that is.
So English bacon, I believe, is center cut. So it's not like stripes of fat and meat. It's like mostly meat and then like a little bit of fat around the edge. And
This is like if you took the
floppy.
McDonald's bacon and just put it on its own. Wafer, like paper thin, flavorless, overcooked.
Oh no! Yeah.
Like if you've
Overcooked,
ever,
okay,
like
English bacon,
like where you could
undercooked.
wad it up and it just shatters into like shatter bacon.
Jesus.
It's shatter,
Bacon shatter.
but it does nothing
dude,
for you.
Our buddy Matt would be in heaven there. Like,
Really?
That's
Some
all he
people
wants
like
is
that,
like the crispiest, thinnest bacon that you can
No,
provide.
I almost like a steak when I have bacon.
Bacon steak, yes.
So good.
I'm in.
Yes.
Now, when you go to these very Americanized places,
Yeah.
can you get beef?
Yes, actually, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
You have good questions. So, yes. However, I did not eat beef while I was there, except one time, which what I was served was beef, and I did not realize it. The reason I did not eat beef, even though I saw it on several menus, and even though by about week 3 of the trip I was dying, I was fantasizing about just a medium rare ribeye steak with because ribeye is my favorite. Just like if you go out to the meeting place in Hillsboro, they've got these 3-week dry aged ribeyes that just melt in your mouth. Just amazing.
Nice.
So I was dying for that. But out of respect for the Hindu culture, I felt like I don't want to be this just guy just coming in, elbows swinging, just, hey, I'm a tourist and I'm going to have a steak and I don't care about your culture, It's just like,
Make way for the white man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have me some cow.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'm just going to either eat a vegetarian, which I'm going to eat what they serve and what they make, which... Mainly, I would say mainly vegetarian, but if there was meat, it was either like chicken or goat. And I love goat.
Goat's
Goat's delicious. So I was fine with that.
Yeah, I just didn't even know if they like would serve it, and then if they do, where are they getting it from? That they're not like angering.
Well, India is the
local...
second largest Muslim country in the world.
I was going to say, not everyone there is
So
Hindu.
This is true. Yes.
Not every, and it's like you're making a huge oversimplification and broad generalization if you think, oh, India is a Hindu country.
Right.
Not at all, because you've got India, Bangladesh, Kashmir, Pakistan, that were all just an area of sovereign kingdoms that were mixed. I mean, they were Hindu, they were Christian, they were Muslim, they were Buddhist, all of these things.
Right.
Until the British meddled with it and decided, oh, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make these into countries because this is what we do. And so, so that's what happened. And so there's a lot of Muslims there. And Muslims eat beef.
Yeah.
So you could get it, no problem. And honestly, when you're in a European style hotel or restaurant, think about it. You're in business.
Right.
It's a business.
Right.
Unless you're a Portland cake shop that doesn't want to sell cakes to lesbians, you're going to sell whatever to whoever because you're trying to make money, right? So it's, you're, and not everybody is a devout Hindu. Just because you live in India and you are Hindu, well, I mean, there's, lukewarm Hindus.
No, and you're totally right. And
else.
I just had the wrong kind of perspective because I know that there are that it's prominent. That that the cows are held sacred and just sort of let to
and the cows just fucking wander. And when you're out in the more rural areas, it's like here, like in the U.S. Go out in Eastern Oregon. There's like 1 per capita churches, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of the same way in rural India. Like you've got you got more liberal people in the cities, more conservative people in the rural areas, which is kind of interesting. Just how that societal divide works around the world. You know, it's just kind of that way. But let's see. So yes, the beef you can get, but with the cows in the rural area. So like yes, cows are at the top of the lug nut rule on the roads.
Yeah.
Like, and I was reading stories about like if you hit a cow, you might as well just run. Like
really?
Yes, like there was, and this is on the State Department website saying there's been instances of like people getting into accidents, hitting cows, being attacked by mobs, having their vehicles burned.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so it's like if I clip a cow, I'm gone. Like if I can, and if it means running away, I'm gonna run away. Like I don't care.
Wow.
Quickly.
Yeah. So
find a disguise.
But fortunately, cows are pretty much faster than an auto rickshaw. So you're kind of the slowest thing on the road.
You're not gonna do a ton of damage to a cow in a rickshaw.
No, and I did see a few dead cows on the adventure. There was a few dead cows.
Like on the side of the road, or
which is like you think, oh, it's holy and whatever. And sacred, but like the cows are off eating garbage, and then they're, and I mean garbage, like I don't know how your stomach's digesting that, or they're dead, like got hit obviously by something, and probably a semi or a bus, and they're just laying there. And I know they're sacred and all, but I think a lot of it is that there's no like feral cows. They're all owned by somebody. And so that might be a family's only source of milk, only source of income. There might be a little shrine somewhere that they make a little bit of money off the side or something.
Yeah.
So you just, if that's all the family has, you don't screw with it, you know.
Wild.
Yeah, so we went to Pune, which is kind of skirting Mumbai. You're kind of going east around Mumbai, a ways, and then we kind of had to decide, do we keep going east?
So you weren't going to spend any time in Mumbai, even though it's a giant city?
No, I had no desire to. One, because it's polluted as all get out.
Yeah.
Two, because getting in and getting out is going to eat a lot of time, and I wanted to see, like, honestly, where are the tourists? The tourists are in the urban areas.
Right.
If you want to see the country, you're going to go out in the nowheresville.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, and I mean, big cities are big cities.
Exactly, yes.
Even on the other side of the world, there will be something different, but...
There's a McDonald's every 3 blocks.
But then, it's still a big city.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, which is... It's kind of a shame, like, how the proliferation of westernization everywhere. And I get it, because they want what we have. I would too. It's like, why do we have this immigration issue on the southern border? Because they have kids too, and they want a better life for their kids too. And so I would do the same damn thing. And it's like, well, we're going to America because there's opportunity there, and there's jobs there, and we can make more money. Not necessarily realizing that, like, okay, it costs a lot more to live here.
Right.
You know, like the amount of money that I put out every month to live here is insane. And I'm not even like high rung. Like, I'm just middle class, whatever. But like the amount of money I have to put out in 1 month, I mean, God, in India, I mean, I could live very well for a very long time. Probably with servants, even like in some places. Like it's
That's
crazy.
What I've heard about
it's
Southeast
crazy.
Asia, like whether you're talking about Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, India, like if you've got like 10 grand, you could live there for a few years in palatial comfort.
Yeah, and I totally believe it. So we stayed the night in Pune, and it's like I remember they had a massage parlor up on the top floor, and my friend wanted to get a massage because he was like, my back hurts, I'm super sore, I don't feel good, I want to get a massage. And I'm like, cool. And it's like, you get a massage 24 hours a day there.
Wow.
Which to me is crazy. Like,
that is crazy.
Just have someone hotel.
On staff,
Multiple people.
Wow.
Like, you go up to the top floor, and then they had like 4 massage rooms, and then go past that, and there's a big bar, rooftop bar.
Whoa,
which is
nice.
cool. And so I scheduled them. You schedule it with the front desk, and man, the service is so good. Like, would you like a massage? What time would you like it? They immediately call up, get it scheduled for you. Put your bags down. You go upstairs, and I went to the bar. And what did I have them? I think I had them make me a Moscow Mule. Is either that or a margarita, which was a very regrettable decision. It's like, an Indian margarita. Indians are very hard workers, and they are very good at a lot of things. But making a margarita is not one of them. You know, it's like, can I have the American representation of a Mexican drink made by an Indian in India?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, like, I mean, they've got to have limes, right? But like,
oh sure,
but how are you going to make the sweet and sour mix? And like,
they got full bars, but it's just not there.
Yeah,
it's just not right. And I'm not a barkeep, so I can't be like,
so you couldn't tell them how to build it. Yeah.
No, it's like, that's why I pay a bartender his exorbitant price for a drink, is because he's a mixologist. That's his job. You know, I go to a bartender, or a barber for a good haircut. I go to a bartender for a good drink. If I just want to make a gin and tonic at home, I can do that. But when I want a drink, I go to a good bartender. So, yes, it was terrible. And then, so my friend, he went in for his massage, and then I went in for my massage, and it was this young Asian girl, and I'm like, I'm not about like any of the inappropriate stuff, like, and then also I'm realizing, like, okay, I'm a paying customer and I'm a white dude, and so it's like, how many and I'm like, this is going through my mind this whole time. This girl's giving me a massage, and she was very good, like, and I just wanted a back massage. That's all I wanted. I told her just a back massage. And what's going through my mind this whole time is like, how many times has this girl had to put up with like dudes like being inappropriate with her, creepy old bastards, completely disrespectful, disrobing in front of her.
Right.
Maybe that is part of her job, and I don't even know. But it's like, well, I'm not. No. So I just got a back massage. It was like, thank you very much. And I was, I wear boxer briefs, which are basically like shorts. Yeah. So I was like, I kept those on. It was like, because they tell you to, disrobe and get a towel over you, and it's like, no, I'm keeping my boxer briefs on. Yeah. There's no misconstruing. Yeah. Even if you like pull the towel down, thinking, I gotta do this again, it's like, nope, this guy's dressed under here. We're fine. I mean, I'd even kept my jeans on because it's like, I got a daughter, and it's like, I'm not about that.
Right.
So. Yeah, so I got this great back massage, and it was like, I want to say it was 1,600 rupee for this massage, which 70, so 700 is $10, 1,400 is $20, so $14, $20, $22, $23 for like a 10 p.m. hour-long massage.
That's so cheap.
No, and so I left her. You never know. Like some restaurants here, like if you leave a gratuity, they steal it from the people, right?
Yeah, totally.
And I want it to be up to her what she does with it. So I left her a 2,000 rupee, which 2,000 rupees is the biggest note that they have in India.
Nice.
So that was like a $30 tip, right?
Yeah.
It was more than 100% gratuity,
right?
And I'm like, that's a big tip, because if they're making an average, if women make, and laborers, I don't know how that translates with massage, but my friend that I made in India, he said men make an average of $5 to $6 a day U.S., women $2 a day average for laborer jobs in rural India.
That's such a huge disparity,
right?
Oh yeah, and
that's fucked up.
Not just a huge disparity between male and female, huge disparity between what I make,
and
totally. What they make, and so it's like, okay, so let's just say they make $3, $4 because they're in Pune as opposed to rural India. Let's say they're making twice, so that she's making $4 a day US. So I just gave her like 8 days' wages as a tip.
Yeah.
Like, think about like how so I thought about it like, man, if somebody did that for me, that would be so rad to get 8 days, like a week's pay for a tip.
Right.
Hell yeah.
Right.
And it's like, it cost me $30.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I'm not going to die without $30.
Yeah,
I've pissed $30 away.
You still got in and out for less than you would have paid in the States.
Yes, even with the tip and the actual cost of the massage, it was still less than $50.
What's wild too is I bet that happens from time to time, and I bet it happens with dudes like you,
right?
But not the billionaire dudes who roll through that hotel,
and they're inappropriate,
and yeah. Even if they aren't, those dudes pay their $22 and then like a $2 tip,
yes,
and go
make it $25.
Yeah,
right.
Totally,
yeah. No.
Yeah. Ugh.
So
anyhow,
anyway, so
speculation on my part, but
no, you're probably. I would guess you're right. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'd guess you're right. So left Puna, headed north. I'm trying to remember where we got to after we left Puna because I think we headed straight north on the highway, and Manchar. But as you go north, so we kind of got north of Mumbai, Nashik, and we were, because Bangalore is north.
Oh, and that's the goal, right? Bangalore is where you're headed to.
No, I'm sorry, Bangalore south. Jaisalmer, northwest.
Oh, right, that's where you're headed.
Okay, so it was like, okay, we can't, if we keep going straight north, basically, we're going to end up in like Jaipur. And because we're going into Rajasthan, and then we'll have to cut west to Jodhpur, and Jodhpur and Jaipur are amazing. Like, I think Jodhpur is like painted blue, like the whole city is like this brilliant blue.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah, and
That's
then
cool.
I think Jodhpur or Jaipur, I get them confused, but the other one's like on a lake. Maybe it's not Jodhpur. Maybe it is Jodhpur. One of those is like right on a lake, and it's like the palace is on a lake, and you can stay there. Yeah. So the royal families own these palaces still, but they're rarely, if ever, there, and so they basically rent them out. And it's not like a palace. It's like, oh, we got 5 bedrooms. It's like these are palaces.
Hundreds, yeah.
Big places.
Wild.
Yeah, so
they're the British royal family?
No.
Oh, no.
These have been
okay.
repatriated.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, so it's owned by Indian monarchy, historical monarchy. Some of them, I think, are government owned. Some are owned by the families. So let's see. Yeah, so we went, I think, Nashik, and then we cut over to Surat. Which Surat's another huge city. And, honestly, I don't remember. A couple of these big cities, I don't remember a lot of what happened other than, like, Pune was the first place I saw a camel.
Cool.
Nice. I didn't see any tigers. I was bummed that I didn't see any tigers. There's tigers there. Mm-hmm. People get killed by tigers there.
Right.
Like when we were going through the Western Ghats, I was nervous about jaguars and tigers.
Oh.
Because...
I mean,
that's legit.
Yeah, like fucking cats.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, cougars here. Yeah, there's cougar attacks, but generally they don't mess around with people. But those are like jaguars, and then like tigers. Tigers, they don't care.
No,
like they're top of the food chain. That's like the land shark. Like that thing will eat you. Without prejudice. Like doesn't care how much you're screaming.
Maybe just for fun.
Maybe it'll play with you and just chew your leg off. I don't know.
They definitely prefer the folks in Thing Without Doors, so...
I haven't seen that.
No, you. I mean, you.
Oh, yes. I thought you were talking about a movie.
No.
Things Without Doors.
Things Without Doors.
Oh, you mean an auto rickshaw?
Yeah, like the thing you're driving.
Yes, right.
It's essentially a tiger food cage.
Yeah, it's like fast food.
Yeah. No, it's like one of the little... treat boxes that you give your animal. It's like, hey, figure out the puzzle. It's not that hard.
Yeah. It's like Jiffy Pop. You just tear the foil off the top and there's the popcorn.
Yeah. Wild. So in that area, the Ghats, you said?
Yeah, that which is kind of down Goa area. Like,
oh, okay.
Like southern.
Yeah. But is that more prominent, like the wild, like tigers and wildlife like that?
Yeah, because southern India, you've got more jungle.
Yeah,
and northern, because you're closer to the equator. Northern India, you got more desert.
Yeah.
No. What about elephants? Did you see any Indian elephants?
Yes. Okay. Now the first elephant we passed, I missed because I was focusing on traffic.
Did you miss an elephant?
Because I was driving in Indian traffic, and I had tunnel vision because I was going through a roundabout, which is more like a whatever the fuck about, and you just kind of make your way through it.
Honking your horn constantly.
Yeah. You lay on the horn, and my friend was like more timid about the horn, but I was like all about it, like like don't care, like making up songs with the horn, went along. Yes,
I love it.
And like American songs. Like,
Oh man, I would get so rude with an air horn out there.
oh, but you can't, because everybody blows the horn, and it's not a fuck you. It's just I'm here thing, and so I was fun, with it. Like I enjoyed blowing the horn. Now there was a point at the end of the trip where it was like it would give me that like nervous tick, like you get the eye twitch thing because you hear the horn and it just like triggers you, and it's just like, God, I want to go home so I don't have to hear this again, like that. The horn by the end of the trip was one of the things I was the least like ready to be over. Like, okay, like I'm over the like curry, like honestly,
right?
Because it's in
everything.
Everything. It's in the KFC, it's in the McDonald's like so chicken sandwich.
Even you're like, fine, I am gonna go to this American fast food restaurant to just like get my American food fix.
Like 10 days in, I got diarrhea for the first time. Like, and at first I was like so just naive, and we went through the Chickpet market in Bangalore, and we were looking for stuff to pimp our ride with, and I found this guy frying these little like fried pocket things of something with sour cream on them or something, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll take two, and I took some, and he like wraps it in newspaper, and I like took it to my friend, I'm like, hey, here you go, and he's like, he gives me this look, 'cause he's been to India 7 times, he gives me this look like, and he's like picking at it and looking, and I'm just like eating it like just like I'm at the county fair, like whatever, and I had no problems with it, and he didn't either, but it was just, I guess we got lucky, but yeah, like 10 days in, I got it, and it was more of a nuisance. It wasn't like I had the cold sweats and I just felt miserable. It was like
you just had
nuisance.
some alien flora in your gut.
Yeah, exactly.
It took some time to adjust.
He got sick, and he got pretty sick. We got to Ahmedabad, which is north, so it's north of Surat, so we go north out of Pune to Nashik. I don't remember if we stayed the night in Nashik or not. We may have, and then we continued on to Surat, which is just off the coast.
Yeah, so this is still all beach driving. So you like dodged around Mumbai and then kept up the coast.
Yep, and then headed up the coast.
I'm following along on the map now.
Yeah. I mean, really, you almost need, and I need to, because it's like, okay, so where did we go from here? I mean, I could get into my Google timeline and look at it.
Right.
That's
but now you're cutting back inland eventually here, right?
So, yes. So, let's see here. So, I went... Let's see. Karwar... Neptune. Okay, so that... January 4th, we were in Goa. January 7th... Pune. The Radisson Blue. That's where we stayed. At the
Radisson.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, there you go.
Radisson Blue, which was crazy nice. And then we headed north, and we went to the Karla Caves, which that was... How far north out of Pune? That was 118, like 30 miles north, Karla. And so the Karla Caves are these ancient, and by ancient I mean probably like 1,000 years old caves just carved into the side of these cliffs.
Man-made caves?
Yes.
Cool.
Carved. And so, like, they're temples. Like, you've got figures of elephants and people, and they're like multi-story.
Whoa, yeah.
And like huge chambers, like 50 feet tall with like big pillars, and because they would worship in these, and
talking sandstone or
no, I think they were like not granite, but it was like that gray rock, whatever that gray rock,
but
not
some hard ass rock.
Yes, very
damn,
and very intricately carved. Let's see.
Huh. That's cool.
So, like, yeah, I'll give you some pictures for your show notes.
Yeah, please do.
So,
please
like, here is in the Karla Caves. Like, this is a big chamber right there, carved out of the solid rock.
Yeah,
and these pillars are all solid. These aren't like they didn't.
Holy shit!
Yeah, they didn't make these pillars and place them there. These are like big pillars,
just carved
from the
rock,
straight out of the rock.
Wow,
that's badass.
Yeah, and
it's like a 100-foot tall vaulted ceiling, something like that.
I don't know if it's that tall. It's probably 50 feet.
Yeah, okay.
And then these characters, and I mean these people were like gratuitous with the tits. I mean, like,
who can blame them?
Giant jugs.
Wow,
on all
no
the women.
kidding, huh?
You know. But it's like, if you're going to be the guy that's got to carve the women, it's like, well, you know.
Hey, it takes less carving to do big
That's
tits
exactly
than
what I
little
was going to say. You got to carve less rock away to make big jugs.
Yeah, totally.
So, and then there's these elephants, but like these trunks had broken off like over the years because earthquakes.
Oh, okay.
Right? So earthquakes destroy a lot of things. They had stabilized a lot of this stuff. Like here's one with the trunk still on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
It's a nice trunk.
yeah, and so that was kind of. Let's see, that was January 7th. And then we kept going north, and place was funny because it's way up in the hills because it's on this cliff. And my friend had to get out of the rickshaw and run alongside while I was driving north because it was too steep.
Whoa.
Because this is a 7 horsepower auto rickshaw with our crap in it, me in it, and him in it. It just wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
So he had to run alongside.
Had to purge some weight.
Yeah, it was like first gear, pinned, just creeping, like 4 kilometers an hour. Like, and then you're like seesawing back and forth, like switchbacking up the paved road.
So it's not quite as steep?
Exactly,
yeah,
yes.
That's fucking nuts.
Yes.
I've done that on those electric scooters. It's terrible.
And let's see. So we stayed that night in where is it? Kathiawadi, I want to say. Oh yeah, and you stay in these places. He's wearing his traditional garb there, but you stay in these places that are just. A lot of the places we stayed were just like, okay, it's kind of getting towards dark, and so we need to find a place. So I go on Google and look for hotels near me.
Right.
And hotel on Google Maps in India does not mean hotel like in America.
Right.
It might mean somebody's house, I think, or
right.
It would be like a 1-star, but only because I don't know if you can give a 0-star rating. There was, I want to say 3 nights in a row that I had to take 3 days in a row I took a cold shower. Which, man, it's almost better to just not even take a shower than to take an ice cold shower.
Not a fan,
definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, it wakes you up, but
Sure does.
But that's like the only okay, if I gotta put positive spin on this.
If it's like 110 degrees, I mean, okay, but
sure. Or if I have a fever, okay, but so then we went from there to Gujarat. I'm trying to think. Gujarat, that we're in Vadodara, which is kind of getting towards. Okay, yes. Vadodara is a big city, and that's where the Lakshmi Vila's palace is. And the Lakshmi Vila's palace is bigger than Buckingham Palace.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's big as fuck.
Yeah, I'll give you a picture. Like, this is it here, and I'll give you a picture of this for your show notes.
Sweet.
Whoa.
Yeah. Holy moly, that is incredible.
Yeah. So that's Lakshmi Vila's. Now, here's the thing.
We'll try and not do too much more slideshow for the listeners.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Some folks
still,
can't follow
understood.
along.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
so it's just picture a giant-ass Indian palace for the listeners.
Yeah,
at home.
like 5 stories. Like,
like if you're driving or working or running, check these show notes later. But
several wings. It's a grand edifice.
It is. And so you go from they tour. They let you do tours of the Lakshmi Vilas, but not everywhere. They don't let you go in every part of it.
Sure.
And the parts and this is kind of, I blame the British for this. It's in very poor condition, in my opinion. It is quite, the parts that I got to see seemed like quite run down, like in need of restoration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because pretty much all this stuff was owned by the British while it was a British colony. And so they've got like an armory there. Like, oh, you can check out the armory and you'll see, like, there's a bunch of swords and guns. But all of the prime stuff has been picked up and is gone, probably in London in some museum.
Sure.
Right.
So there's swords, but there's a lot of stuff that's rusty or in pretty poor shape. There's a few things that were like, okay, this is neat because this was given to this the Sultan by some, not Sultan, that was not proper, I guess it's the prince or whatever, but by some prince of some other country.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, it's a historical piece of militaria that was given to them, and that's fine. But it's just not as impressive as I'm sure whatever was taken out of there was.
That's sad.
It is, and they don't let you take pictures inside. Even I got a few pictures inside before they yelled at me and told me to stop taking pictures. And there was a few places like that in India where I was yelled at to not take pictures, but then I clearly saw other people taking pictures and not getting yelled at.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what. Maybe it's because I was white. They didn't want tourists taking pictures.
Could be.
Or what. Yeah. Was that? Yeah. So let me see. From there, we went through Barmer. We're still heading north.
Now, how did your sort of like, how did your terrain change? I mean, where you started, you said that was a little more jungly?
Yes.
And
Bangalore, you've got monkeys, you've got palm trees, you got coconuts, it's more tropical. The rickshaw run was supposed to start in Cochin, but they had flooding, and they get monsoons and whatnot.
Right.
So they couldn't start there, so they'd start further north in Bangalore. So it's more tropical. But as you go north, it turns into the desert because you're going towards Pakistan.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was interesting because the police go from these guys that are kind of like whatever, like they almost look like mall cop sort of thing, to they look like Saddam's royal guard.
Oh, really?
And they get less friendly looking and more like authoritative and more like khaki colored police outfits, which just based on like all the like war movies and stuff I've seen since the Persian Gulf War, that look is not a friendly look for a Westerner to see. It's not. You don't get warm fuzzies seeing a guy that looks like Saddam Hussein in garb with a beret. I mean,
I guess it depends on what you're into, but
and that wasn't really my kink, so that didn't do it for me. And not all cultures have an affinity or a predisposition to smiling.
Right.
Okay? And in some cultures, smiling means you're dishonest.
Exactly. It's considered fake.
Yeah. So a lot of them don't smile, and it's not because they're not happy or they're not in a good mood. That's just their culture. But as an American, you're used to, if somebody smiles, they're either happy or at least putting on a show for you enough to your interaction with them is somewhat positive. But so you'd see like the cops there with like either like stone faced or
staring your ass down.
Staring you down. And honestly, a lot of the times they were staring you down because they're like, what the hell? Like, there's a white guy driving an auto rickshaw? What is that?
Wild.
Yeah, so we stayed in, was it Ahmedabad? Yeah, Ahmedabad. Yeah, that's where Lakshmi Vilas was. And like our hotel was decent, and my friend got really sick there because we went to we stayed there I think 2 days, and we were having dinner there, and he had been giving me this speech about even if the hotel says the water's filtered, still get bottled water, don't ever drink filtered water, make sure your glass is clean, and all this stuff. And we're sitting there having dinner, having a conversation, and he takes his glass of water and takes a sip, and I was like, was that bottled? And he like immediately he knew he was fucked.
Oh no!
It's like, and as he asks the waiter by asking the waiter to come over, meaning take 2 steps, because like the waiter just stands there waiting for you. He's a waiter.
Whoa!
That's his job. He is a waiter.
He's just waiting on you.
No, well, it is somewhat, but after you've been there for a bit, you go, okay, that's this guy's job. He takes pride in his work, and like they are waiting. Like the title of his job is waiter.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
what is
it all
what
makes
you're-
sense now.
Right, yeah. Oh, service. That's what that is. Sorry, I'm from Portland.
Yeah.
You know? No, but for real, like, his job is to be a waiter. And so he takes it seriously. And, like, he anticipates you need. Like, you go to a little buffet, he wants to carry your plate and get your food for you.
Whoa.
And I'm just like, man, like, dude, like, you'll still get the same gratuity from
Right,
me.
yeah.
Like,
Just your
how about you go take a load? Can I get you some, like, eggs or something? Like, have you had breakfast today? Is there
Right.
anything I can get you? Like, I don't mind. But yeah, so he calls him over and he's like, is this bottled water? He says, no, it's filtered. We run it through our filters. And he's like, oh, I can't have that. Can I get it bottled water? And the guy's like, no offense at all. Like, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Takes the glass away, brings him back another glass, brings him a bottle of water. But the next morning, he was sick.
No,
Yeah.
just from that one sip.
Just from that one sip.
Yeah.
Dang.
That's all. Because it's like, well, when's the last time the filter was changed?
Sure.
Does this filter actually even filter out the bacteria that you're trying to filter out?
Furthermore, there's just wild, like, yeast and other bacteria in the water and in the air that causes them no problems whatsoever because it's their native flora.
Yep.
But if your
Yep.
gut doesn't have anything like that, then you're going to have some issues, you know?
Yes, and he definitely had that issue.
Dang.
And so, yeah, we got there, and it was like my hotel room. It wasn't like 8th floor; it was like 2nd floor. It was a cheaper hotel. It wasn't bad, but it was smaller. And I had a window that I could open all the way, which is kind of weird because in the U.S. it's like they'll open like a crack because they don't
Right.
want you falling out because you're
Yeah.
an idiot, you know?
Right, yeah.
It's like, oh, you're on the 8th floor. Well, don't lean against your 8th floor window,
Right.
moron. Or if you're going to open it all the way and you're going to jump, well, leave a note so people know why you did it. You know? There, they do not protect stupidity, and it's so refreshing. It's like... You're a moron if you fall. That's your fault. Workers' comp, you know, like, yeah, sorry, you're an idiot. So it was cool because it's like I was kind of backed up to this like little neighborhood sort of thing. It wasn't a slum, but it was just like other dwellings kind of, and it was like I had some privacy. And so like my friend came over and he's like, hey, you still got that hash? And I was like, as a matter of fact, I do. I was already like packing a bowl, you know. It was like, I was kind of waiting for you to come over here, and so we like sat in the window and like, you know, because you don't want to just like hotbox the room,
right?
Like that could be a problem. So we just blew it out the window. You know, we smoked some hash, and then it was like I would like take the little tinfoil pipe and I would like put it on the eave outside the window.
Yeah.
Just so it'd be like if anybody found it, I'd be like, nah, that wasn't mine. That must have been there. You know,
Right.
I don't know anything about that. And then when we leave, I just wad it up and just kind of like throw it into like a gutter or ditch or something. You know, just so we didn't have anything like, because man, the half burned stuff just lets off such a smell, like it does not hide for you at all. So yeah, we smoked some hash, and then we went out exploring, and then we came back, and then I went out to the Aladaj Stepwell, which I took an Uber. The Aladaj Stepwell is a stepwell, which if you're familiar with Stepwell, are you familiar with Stepwell? Maybe I should describe what a stepwell is.
Like for our listeners at home.
Okay, so say you got a well where the village comes to draw water, but you want to pimp it out.
Okay.
So,
I mean, he doesn't want to pimp out
right?
the well.
And say you got like laborers, slaves, maybe even, or devotees, or people that really want to make you happy, and they've got time to kill. I don't know, like 50 years. So you're like, all right, I want this baller ass well to be like huge and like have corridors and like multiple, like I want it to be like 6 floors. I don't have to draw the water up like a mile on rope. Let's just spread it out and make it go down like 6 floors and carve out cool pillars and creatures and stuff, and just like have it come in from all different directions, and you just go down, and then during monsoon season it can rise up and like flood part of it, and we just draw our water from there, and then when it goes down, and we just walk down 6 flights of stairs and we get our water. And it's super intricately carved, and it's really neat. There's like Sanskrit writing, and so the Aladaj Stepwell, which I found on Atlas Obscura, which atlasobscura.com. You got to check that out. I'm like, Aladaj Stepwell, gonna go check that out. So you get there, and it was amazing. And I went down, and they check it out. People throw coins in there and stuff. And there's like school children visiting it, and it's about 600 years old.
Wow.
This particular well.
And the local people still use it as a well?
No, they don't. It's a tourist attraction at this
okay.
point. They got a metal grate over the well so idiots don't fall in it.
So they did protect you from that.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, you could still fall from great height. I mean, onto the rocks or the stone below. But it's carved out of solid rock.
Wild.
The story behind it is that a king was carving it to promote to make himself more of a baller.
Right.
And he lost a battle, and his wife was taken captive by the victor, the king that beat him and killed him. And she refused to marry this king until he finished the well. And so it's interesting because it starts out kind of Hindu design, and kind of as it goes down, it kind of changes to like a Muslim design. Mm-hmm. Very different types of architecture, the Hindu and the Muslim. And so because it started with one and finished with the other, and then the story goes that as it was completed, she said she wouldn't marry him until it was completed. And when it was finished, she threw herself off the top of it and killed herself.
Right.
Okay.
So it was instead of like, I'm not marrying you, I'm was devoted to my husband. I just wanted to see his work finished.
Wild.
And then killed herself.
Wild.
Yeah, it happened a lot.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, I believe it.
Because they viewed the afterlife, and they view multiple lifetimes, reincarnation. Their faith is different than Judeo-Christian faith, which is like one shot, and you're done. So, I mean, I think you'd have a little less fear of death if you're like,
true.
Oh yeah,
believe in your heart that I'm coming back.
Yeah,
so.
if you've got a respawn point, like,
oh shit, I forgot to save. No, damn it. Oh well, I know how to do this one.
Yeah, go all the way back to the
yeah. So I checked that out, and then leaving there's beggars, and any of these kind of sites, there's beggars. At the Kerala Caves, there was beggars. I gave them some money, even though that you're kind of a sucker.
Well, these are the professional, like, organized fucking crime kind of beggars, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got some old people begging, you've got disabled people begging, people with missing limbs begging. I gave, I don't know how, like, probably 100 rupee to like a two-year-old child, like,
jeez,
like a baby, and I gave it to because the baby just came out and she held her hands up, like, wanting money.
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
Tell a 2-year-old to fuck off? No, can't do that. So I gave her 100 rupee, and immediately the old lady next to her grabbed her and took it from her. Now, whether or not this child was kidnapped and held by this old lady, whether the old lady was just taking money from the baby, I don't know who the baby belonged to.
Jesus.
Yeah, but then I had like a lady come up with like a missing eye, and she came up and was yammering on at me in Hindi they don't even speak Hindi, though they speak Hindi, but it's Rajasthani, I think, up there. Pulls her eye cover up to show me her eye and is yammering on, and I'm just like, sorry, no money, and because you kind of get to the point where if they see you give money to one person, you will literally have a crowd around you, all with their hands out,
right.
Until you could give them everything off your back. You'd be standing there naked, and then once they see you're naked and you have nothing left, then they'll probably leave you alone.
Blood, it's blood on the water, and all the fucking sharks come to feed.
And then you'll get then in all these places you'll have like taxi drivers sitting around waiting to rip you off on a taxi fare, but I just took an Uber and got out of there, and we went back to the hotel, and we left there and we continued north, which by this point we were pretty much on a diet of mango soda and ice cream.
Do you have any floats?
No, God, no. Well,
mango soda ice cream float?
I guess that would be good, but no, like ice cream bars.
Okay.
Not like there was one spot where in BFE and there was an ice cream truck. I was like, oh, ice cream, I want some ice cream. And the guy like scooped it out of this thing, and I'm like, there's been a lot of hands in that thing.
Yeah. Never mind.
I tried to give my ice, and I got it, and I'm like, no, but like local people can probably handle this because this guy's in business here.
Yeah.
So there was like some kids, and I like pulled over, and I was going to give it to these kids that were like kind of off in a field a little bit, and I'm like, hey, you want this ice cream? And then I was like, after I left, I was like, I'm a strange white guy that just offered rando kids in India ice cream. Yeah, just gotta come over here and take it from me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no wonder they didn't want it. Their parents warned them about people like me.
Yeah. Would you like to take a ride in my auto rickshaw?
God, yeah, but I wasn't
more
even.
candy at the end.
Yeah, can you help me find my lost puppy? I wasn't even thinking like that. It was just like, I don't want this to go to waste. These kids could never afford this ice cream probably because they don't have disposable income. So I'll give it to them. But no, they didn't want it. They're like, no, and they just ran away. And so I was like, no, whatever.
Keep your roofies and sugar, sir.
Yeah. So I just threw it off to the side because I'm like, I'm not going to eat this. Like, there's no way in hell. Like, I'm not going to get sick because it's ice cream that. And then, oh man, there was a couple of times where you get ice cream bars and it's like you peel it out of the pack and it's like, nope, this is melted and been refrozen.
Yep.
It's like weird, flat shaped, you know?
Right.
Like, damn it, I wanted some ice cream. But I'm not going to put up with this room temperature at one point, but now refrozen.
It's like ice on one side.
And crystalline.
Yeah.
No. So we were living on ice cream and mango soda because that was like the only safe thing, really, that wasn't curry flavored and
Can I get a curry ice cream?
and I'm not kidding. And they like that flavor, and it's fine. I don't begrudge them that, but it's like my Western tongue was like over it, over it. And I love Indian food, but there is a point where it's like,
No, I love curry, but I wouldn't want to do it constantly.
Yeah, every meal of every day, and at this point we're 2 weeks in, So we're kind of at the halfway point, yeah. And so we stayed in the next town we stayed in. We kind of planned on going to, I don't remember where, but we got to this spot where it's like, okay, it's going to be starting to get dark. And then it was kind of like, oh, there's not really a lot of hotels in this area. And then we started having some mechanical problems with like the rick kind of running weird. And we never really figured this out. So we pulled into this place called Surat, which we pulled into one hotel. They didn't have any availability. So then we went down we had to backtrack like 6 kilometers to another hotel, which was kind of in the heart of Surat, which isn't a big town anyway. And it was this ghetto, and there was like, we pulled over at the hotel, and it was this weird little ghetto hotel, and shut the rick off, and then it wouldn't start again. And I was like, oh, God damn it. So it's like, all right, I got to figure this out. So then I start filling with the carburetor. It did not have a head gasket, wasn't leaking. They're air cooled, so it's not like a coolant thing or anything. So it's like, okay, air, fuel, spark. Pull the spark plug out, it's getting a spark. Change the spark plug anyway, still getting a spark. Okay, so we got a spark. Drop the float bowl, it's got fuel, the air filter's good, it's got air, so what's going on? Something's not right. And so then a crowd assembles. And it's because they just want to be helpful.
Yeah.
Like it's
this carbon scoring looks like you've been in a fight.
Yeah. So this guy comes over, and we just happen to pull over right next to the hotel is a auto mechanic, some guy, and so his mechanic, the guy that owns the shop, has a mechanic. The mechanic's like looking at it, and I'm like, dude, like I can get this, but like I didn't want to be rude, so he kind of shoves his way in, starts fiddling with stuff, turns the idle all the way in, so it'll idle super high. And then I'm like, okay, well that kind of makes sense. Like if it's having trouble idling, if we turn the idle adjustment screw in, then that'll make it so it idles super high. Then we can just back it out. And so that worked, and we got the thing started. But it's like you shouldn't have to mess with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like on a carburetor, the elevation didn't have much change from where we were, so it didn't make sense to me why I just all of a sudden the carburetor was out of adjustment. Unless that thing worked its way out backwards, which doesn't make sense either because it's kind of got a preload on it. But whatever. And so it was like, I said, okay, well I want to take it around the block to make sure it runs fine. So the mechanic is in the back, and I'm driving. And this was a hoot to them, right? Because you've got an Indian being driven around in a rick by a European, white guy driving the rick around, and
that's cool.
I got a picture of me and him and the thing. So I'm like, oh man, I'm driving this Indian around, and he was laughing, and everybody was laughing, and he was taking pictures, probably to share with his family. Look at this guy that drove me around today. And we got back to the hotel, and that was the worst hotel I've stayed in. So. There was no hot water, so it was a cold shower, and a lot of hotels are weird in that the lower end ones, the people that work the front desk will throw down a mattress and sleep right in front of the front door,
right,
so that people can't get out and not pay, because you don't pay until the morning.
Shit.
So that way they keep you from taking off on them, and because the electricity, rolling blackouts and all that stuff, they shut off the electricity to the hot water heater at night. So you're not getting in at night after a long day and taking a hot shower. You're taking a cold shower. And then in the morning, they turn the hot water on super early. So unless you're up at 6, they shut it back off. You're gonna get a cold shower in the morning. Yeah, exactly. And my bed was it was so gross. The sheets were gross. And then I pulled the cover, I pulled the fitted sheet off the bed, and I'm looking for bed bugs.
Yeah.
Because I'll sleep in the rickshaw. I don't give a damn.
Right.
There wasn't any bed bugs or anything weird like that. No fleas or anything. But I pulled the cover off the pillow, and it was just one of those sweat-stained pillows.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like a crash house pillow.
Yeah.
Oh, God, this thing is old, and it's seen a lot of heads. And so I slept in my clothes with my head on my pack that night. It was and I was across the bed. I wasn't head and foot where I was across the bed, because I'm all right, I'm kind of at knee level. Knees are pretty clean. I'm going to be in the knee regions here.
The equator, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was the most miserable night of sleep I had, because it was dogs barking, horns honking all night long.
Now, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Did you ever have any problems with other insects? I've stayed in shitty hotels in Mexico that had roaches the size of my fucking thumb,
so
flying
gross.
Cockroaches and shit.
Not really.
That's good.
It was, I didn't really have any bugs to deal with. You'd get the occasional mosquito, but I want to say I only got a couple of mosquito bites the whole time I was there, which is weird, because they
lucky.
like me. Anywhere else I go here in the U.S., I'm the guy that gets bit. So I didn't really have any insect problems. Humidity. There was some places where it was crazy humid, which is gross. But and I actually went out and went for a walk that evening, because it was I'm hungry, but it's not I can just go to a restaurant. There's stands, but the people's demeanor there, because you're getting towards Jaisalmer there, then you're in the desert. It's they don't smile as much, and so I don't know how to read that, because it's not my culture. There were some kids I talked to that they were very interested in where I was from and what I was doing, and you show them some pictures of your work and back home, and they're super interested, and then they want a selfie. So they want a selfie with you, And so and then I bought a Coke and some ice cream, just to be polite, because it was he took me to his brother's shop, with his brother at a shop, and so okay, I'll buy a Coke and whatever. Cool. And then there was a guy selling peanuts. But they roast them right there, which is cool, because they grow the peanuts there, and then they got a big stand with peanuts, and then they'll roast them for you, and it was
artisanal roasted peanuts?
Yes, exactly.
That sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it sounds great until you realize that, okay, the ones, the peanuts you buy here, the hoodies, they wash those, right? So you buy these peanuts, and they roast them, they're great, but there's dirt in them.
Yeah.
Because peanuts grow underground. So you'll crack open a peanut, throw it in your mouth, and get a mouthful of dirt and peanuts. So it's gritty sand in your mouth.
It's trail spice,
Trail spice. Yeah. I mean, you just take it for what it's worth, but it's, so I ate peanuts.
Well, yeah,
for dinner.
so, the creamy and the chunky succeeded, but the gritty never really...
Yeah.
Gritty never really took off.
Never really took off, yeah.
So we left out of Surat, and it was okay, the Rick was running pretty good when we left, and so it was at that point, I want to say we were 250, 300 kilometers from Jaisalmer, so it was okay, we can take another day to get to Jaisalmer.
You're on the home stretch here.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
home stretch of the rickshaw run, about the halfway point of our journey. And we kind of decided that, like, you know, we could detour a bit and see some stuff, but we felt like we've had really good luck. We had, I think, 3 breakdowns. The one that was like right off the bat with the little bit of cotton clogging the jet of the carb. Another one where we had the petcock, the little shutoff valve broke and wasn't sending fuel through the fuel line, so we just pulled that off and put another fuel filter in line. And then this third random one where it just quit idling. Yeah. Which we adjusted the idle and it seemed to work fine after that. And so we were like, you know what? We can go hang in Jaisalmer. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. There's plenty to explore there. If we miss anything between here and there, whatever. And so we went into Jaisalmer, got there by the end of the day, got to our hotel. Was a decent hotel. I think we were only there for a night, then we switched to a different hotel because we had reservations. We actually got there a day earlier than we thought we were going to get. Oh, cool. Because we kind of pushed it a little bit at the end there. And Jaisalmer is a fortress city. Below the fortress are a lot of shops. Before the walls, I should say, of the fortress, because you're kind of outside of the fortress. So, like in any fortress city, you're going to have houses and market outside of the fortress, and then you get inside there, and that's where the houses and the palace and all that are. Yeah. And so it's kind of touristy outside of there. And my friend, he'd been to Jaisalmer like 30 years prior, and like the cannons that were in the walls were gone. And he said, oh, it's changed a lot, and it's a lot bigger and more polluted, and which is kind of a shame. And there's still, I think, 10,000 people that live in Jaisalmer. It's a living World Heritage Site, a living city, a living fortress, and they're worried that it's going to collapse because it's kind of built on a hill, and these people still living there, their wastewater and their sewage and stuff is still like seeping into the ground, weakening the stone that this thing is made out of. But what are you going to do? Kick these people out who've lived there for generation after generation? No, it's going to take its natural life cycle like anything else. Yeah. And they're just going to live there until it's uninhabitable.
Wild.
So
I mean, I guess you can't really like add modern plumbing to an ancient fortress.
Not in any affordable manner. Yeah, I mean, not in any way that's practical. Yeah. Definitely not, because it's like it's all cobblestone walkways. Yeah. It's all stone walls, and the walls of the fortress are thick because it's a fortress. So it's not like it's 3 feet thick. It's like, I mean, it could be 12 feet thick in some places. Yeah. And you've got these trenches that run along the streets, and that's where the sewage and the gray water goes. Oh, because people just kind of dump it out because that's how it's always been done. It runs downhill and out of the fortress. That's how it's always been done. Wow. But there's a lot of trash that's accumulated in there. A lot of shops in there now. They actually run cars and trucks up because there's doors with elephant spikes on them, which are spikes to prevent elephants from ramming through the gates of your fortress.
Wild.
Whoa. Because that's how old it is. You know, like Hannibal coming through the Alps, and, you know, he's going to, like, how are you going to attack a fortress? Well, your tank is an elephant. Yeah. So you put elephant spikes up, because then it's not going to hit its head on the door because there's big spikes there.
That's why you need a siege rhino.
Yeah, right? So, yes. So
you fucking nerds.
But, so you got to have roads wide enough, you know, to haul your carts, to haul your oxen, your sheep, your whatever up there. Your troops. Yeah. Right? Marching your troops in and out. Well, so these roads are wide enough for cars to go on, and it blows my mind, but they actually let cars up into the fort, which is just like, I was like, what? Like,
that's wild.
Like, keep those out. Right? I mean, just walk up in there. But no, there's cars and rickshaws going up in there.
Wild.
They got, you know, electrical power lines and stuff run. So I mean, you'll see these.
Oh, just they're like very stapled to the fucking rocks.
No, they'll
and
have
stuff?
poles and stuff, but. You'll have very intricately, I'll give you some pictures to put up of Jaisalmer. And Jaisalmer, the buildings are, they're so intricately carved that you'd think it was like some sort of like water jet carved stone.
Really? Wow.
Like insane, like kind of like the patterns you see when you're tripping balls. You know? those real,
shit.
yes, yeah. And like, yes. yes, because they've got their sacred geometry
Right,
and all
because
this
it's more
stuff.
Muslim over there, right? Because the Muslims,
Yeah, there's still a lot of Hindu there, but it's
sacred geometry.
Yes, and it's kind of gone back and forth. And the Mughal Empire took over Jaisalmer for a point, and there's actually a story, like in some of the history stuff that you read about it, where the king of that fort of the Jaisalmer was in a battle. And he had his whole court there and all his wives, because, the plural marriage, they'd have 10, 15 wives. And they were getting defeated in battle, and their reinforcements weren't showing up. So he kills all his wives, so they're not taken captive by the enemy. Kills, like, a lot of his court, because that's just what they do. And then the reinforcements show up and they beat him back and win. So he decimated all his family and the court, and hey, we won. And so I think he wasn't popular.
That's like the
after
fucking
that.
ending of The Mist.
Yes, the movie, not the book.
Yeah.
But you're right. Spoiler alert. Too late. But yeah, so that was like, oh my god, could you imagine being that guy? You just popped off all your wives, and now the reinforcements show up and you win the battle and don't get taken over. They'd be like, oh, my bad.
Oh, geez. Oops.
Like that, but I mean, wrapping your mind around it in reality, be like, oh, that would be so bad.
It's like, fuck, dude, another harem down. All right.
So we checked out the fort. We went. There's some kings. There's king's tombs or something like that. I don't remember what it's called exactly, but it's just outside of Jaisalmer. We drove out there to see those, and it's where a lot of kings, Hindu and Muslim kings that have ruled over the area are buried, and you can tell by the way that their tombs are built. This one, and I say tomb, but they were burned on funeral pyre, and they build their ashes are there, and then they build this mausoleum sort of thing on the site of where they were burned. And the way the Hindu buildings are built, the stones all interlock, so when they had an earthquake they stayed up, but the Muslim ones were kind of built differently, and a lot of them collapsed, and so the Hindus there look at it as we're favored, because
right.
And it's no, it's your architecture, really. It's it's the way you're built. It's your Lincoln logs are better than their Blocko blocks or whatever.
You're just stacking rocks over there.
Yeah. So, but then one of the interesting things about that was the wives of these kings would commit sati, which is where they throw themselves on the king's funeral pyre.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So there was this a temple where you would see their hand. They put their hand in indigo ink and put it on the wall before they would go out and commit sati.
Whoa.
And some of those handprints are still there, and so then you would see the tombs, and it would show this king died, and he was burned here, and then 3 of his wives committed sati here, and so their stones are there for them as well. Well, one guy was 11 wives that committed sati, which is
wow.
Yeah, they would take opium first and get just out of their minds on opium, and then go jump on the fire. Which is insane. But that's,
and because their husband died?
Yeah.
Huh.
So they were to accompany him in the afterlife.
That is wild.
Some midsummer shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So that's how that worked. And I think pregnant women were exempt from that because they were carrying the royal bloodline.
Right.
So they didn't have to commit sati.
It's baffles me that they draw the line there. All right, sure.
I thought the line would be way back here, but you took it way further than I thought you
They
would.
could be carrying a son, though.
Right,
This
yeah.
is
That's
true,
the only
right?
reason.
Right.
Yeah. So that was interesting to look at, and a lot of these places you go will say, hey, do you want a tour guide? There's people all around, tour guide, and usually it's nah, whatever. But this place, I was
I gotta
how
do
much?
that.
You got to ask them, and then they usually say, oh, well, just, I'll give you tour and then you tell me how much at the end, but that's a scam.
Yeah.
It's like, you give me a number and I will pay you that at the end. And so then the guy told me something, I don't remember what it was. It was like 500 rupees or something. And it was just like, yeah, okay. Like, he knew all sorts of history, and so then he took me through the place. And I was like, this is worth it to me, because this guy knew his stuff, he spoke English, he could tell me about all of this stuff, because a lot of Indians are very up on their history, where I feel like a lot of Americans don't even know the Bill of Rights, let alone...
Oh, God.
You know, like, when was the Civil War, you know? Like, when did World War II end? No clue.
A lot of Americans don't even
1930s? You know, it's like...
where all of the states are.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're really up on their history, and so I paid a guy to give me a tour, and then I gave him some U.S. currency. I think I gave him like a $5 bill, which is a lot of rupee. That's like 350 rupees, but it was just like some coins and stuff, just because they don't get as up in that part of India. You're outside of a big city, you're not going to see much American currency, so it's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
And I'd taken a bunch of coins to give away to people, and they thought it was cool. Like, we'd be driving along, and there'd be like a guy on a motorbike next to me, and I'd just wave at him, and he'd see a white guy, and he'd wave back, and I'd pull a quarter out and just like hand it to him while he's riding his motorcycle, and he'd take it, he'd look at it, and he'd wave, and he's just cool.
That's
know?
cool.
Yeah. So, saw the tombs there, and then so they had a party for us at the end. So
this is the big end throwdown.
The big end throwdown. It was at the Prince's Palace. I honestly don't remember the name of it. There's a Sultan something or other. There's a Prince something, but there's only palace in Jaisalmer, and so. You roll, like, you come through the gates. We were not the first team to show up. I think we were the second or third team to show up in Jaisalmer.
Wow.
And you roll through the gates, they got drums playing, and they got signs that say, you know, pull forward, pull up onto the stand, don't fall off. And so we pull up onto the stand, and they had... What Condition My Condition Is In playing for us, because we had the Big Lebowski themed
Love it.
rig. And I was like,
it.
because you got to request a song. I honestly do not remember what we requested as our finish line song, but they just decided to play that for us.
Perfect.
And I was
Brilliant.
like, why didn't I think of that? That is absolutely
You're like,
perfect.
my Sharona, that was not the
Why did I think Celine Dion?
Yeah, my heart will go on. So that was perfect. And so they played that for us, and then you get off, and they come up, they shake your hand, and then they got these women in traditional garb. They put the chrysanthemum flowers over you, almost like a Hawaiian lei, kind of.
Yeah.
And they're cool, and they, you know, if you ever had a lei or one of these flower garlands put on you in hot weather, that's amazing, because it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it cools the back of your neck,
flowers,
and it smells good. And then there was a guy that was hired to be there with his 2 camels, just kind of standing right behind you. So then I gotta like pet the camels and like hold the camels, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it was cool, and got our picture and stuff. And then they threw a party that night at the palace, and they were giving out awards and stuff. And it was kind of funny because on the WhatsApp message group, I had been messaging with people all the time that were having mechanical problems, and actually the day of the party, some people broke down like 20 kilometers outside of Jaisalmer. In Jaisalmer, you're about 30 kilometers from the Pakistani border, and India and Pakistan don't get along.
Yeah, they're not cool.
Not cool. So there's like a big military base right outside of Jaisalmer, like big. And these people broke down, and so it was like, they were messaging, hey, what do you think's wrong with our rig? And I said, I don't know, I'll come look at it. And so we drove the 30 kilometers back out of Jaisalmer in the rig. Went, and I was sitting there wrenching on it, and I was like, man, I can't figure this thing out. This thing will not start. It's got fuel, it's got spark. Like, they're having the same kind of problem we were having. I tried turning the idle up.
Yeah, you're like, well, maybe this.
Yep, nothing. So we just threw a rope around the damn thing, and we towed their asses into Jaisalmer, like 30 kilometers.
Love it.
But it was like, hey, you guys are this close, let's get you in there. And so we went to the party, and they had food for us. And at these parties, the food is safe. Like, you're not going to have any issues with that.
For sure.
And
I assume at the nice hotels you were good to go.
Well, we're at the palace.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like, throughout the trip, like, the nice hotels is where you can get, like, a pretty good
at the nice hotels, you're pretty much fine.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. So they were doing these awards, and then somebody yelled out my name, like, hey, who's this? I'm kind of trying to stay anonymous on this, but like, who's so-and-so?
Yeah.
and they said he needs an award, and like everybody was like, yeah, who's my name, and I was like, hey, I'm so and so, and then I got a huge standing ovation, which was
right on.
really rad because it was like because they're like, yeah, you were on there like from the beginning, like helping people, and I thought the recognition from the people was super cool.
That is really cool.
That's awesome, man.
And and that's awesome that there was a mechanic who was like, in the chat and helping people out. I mean,
I'm sure that was invaluable for everybody.
Yeah, that's super rad.
There was a lot of people that had not the first clue about even the theory of an internal combustion engine. So we stayed around. Let's see. So we were going to stay around an extra day. And we decided, okay, let's just go down to the train station and see if we can get tickets out of here a day early. So we can get on with our... Because at this point, we got to Jaisalmer a day early. So we're like, we had already planned on being there for a couple of days.
Yep.
Then we were going to take a train to New Delhi. And it's like, okay, we got here a day early, so we can leave a day early. So we went down to the train station. We moved our train tickets. And it was like $45 for Jaisalmer to New Delhi for both of us first class with a sleeper.
Nice.
And... that's a 21-hour train ride. I mean, it's a long-ass way. And their trains are not... I'd say they're like 1970s era trains. It's not like a brand new, super nice, luxurious train. And the sleepers were...
There's some dope trains in the 70s.
Yeah, in the 70s, those trains were great. But we're here 40 years later, and...
No problem.
And it's So the floorboards are kind of peeling up a little bit. And so, we got on the train and we headed out, and I want to say I probably slept because it was either early morning we left or it was late after. I think it was late afternoon, like 4 in the afternoon we got on the train. So we just slept for like 8 hours, and we woke up. I think people come through and sell you snacks, sell you meals, and I bought a couple of meals, and then they're like on trays, and they're covered up, and you buy them, and you open it up, and it's like, and it wasn't expensive, but it was like, God damn it, it's just like airplane food, but like Indian airplane food.
Covered in curry.
Exactly.
Just a pile of curry.
I was like, I don't want to waste food, but I am not eating this. Like, I'll get, like, you stop at a train station, you hop off for a minute, you go get a couple of mango sodas, a couple of ice cream bars, and you get back on the train and get the fuck out of there.
Back on that diet.
Seriously, like at the end there, that was what we were eating for like many meals. Because I just couldn't handle the curry anymore. And so then my friend and I were on the train, and it was like, all right, so now we're up, because it's a 21-hour train ride, and it was like the first 8-9 hours we slept, because we were pretty tired. And then it was like, okay, now we're up. We got a while left on the train. But it was cool because, like, in India, they don't care if you just, like, walk between the cars. They don't care if you open the door at the end of the train and kind of hang out. Like, you just do whatever you want, pretty much.
Nice.
And they do what they want. Like, the guy, it was kind of disheartening, but, like, the guy cleaning out the bathrooms and stuff and cleaning out the trash literally threw it into a garbage can and then pitched it out the door of the train. Like, it's like, oh, this trash doesn't belong on this train. We'll just... pitch it onto the ground outside.
I mean, the wind's just going to blow it away.
It's like, fuck
fine.
this town, wherever we are.
The rain's just going to wash it into the ocean, and it'll all go away.
Mm-hmm. So they would take the trash out. And that was something, too. It's like you're being mindful of, like, okay, the garbage you're making. But it's like, if I throw this out, where does it go?
Yeah.
It goes in this trash can. Well, what happens to that trash? They don't have, like, municipal garbage it takes to a dump and buries it, which isn't that great anyway, but...
just gets tossed wherever.
They pull it out of the garbage can and they just throw it off the side of the road so that the garbage can is empty again. So you have a pile of garbage around the garbage can. It's like, you might as well just throw it on the damn ground if you're going to make it at all.
Just designate some piles and...
Yeah, and then eventually, you'll be driving along and there'll just be a hill on fire because somebody will light some trash on fire and just let the whole damn hill of trash burn.
Burned it. Wow.
Or if they're, like, carving out, like, they're, like... out there with an excavator to like widen a road or something. Like you see them digging with the excavator, it's like digging at a dump, just digging garbage out. It's not like they're digging clean soil, like clean fill. They're digging with that excavator and it's just pulling trash out.
Wow.
Buried trash, like feet of buried trash. And because it's not compostable and it's not biodegradable, it's all plastic, it doesn't go away.
Right.
You know, food waste and wood and that kind of stuff whatever. I mean, it'll go away. But that plastic is there to stay. And so...
Yeah, it's kind of there.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So... My friend was like, "Hey, you got any of that hash left?"
And we come back to that.
Back to that.
Well, I was wondering when you were going to ask this question.
and I said, "Why? Yes, I do." And I said, but I said, "You can go ahead and smoke it." I said, "I really can't. Like we only got a couple weeks until we're back home, and I don't want to get drug tested." And and my friend's like, "Well, don't worry about it. Like, if we get tested, we get back. Like, I'll just make up a story that, like, we were at a party and we ate some food and it made us feel weird, and that must have been it."
And I mean, like, your friend's not far off because I don't know how close in the year's schedule you were to Holi, but Holi is a holiday that they have in India where people just hand out milk that's laced with weed, and like kids.
Well, it was like
adults,
January, so I don't know.
People, it's more of a spring-time festival. I'm pretty sure,
like March or April.
Yeah, and they just throw colored pigment on each other and like.
Oh sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Color run.
Yeah, so the name for that milk is Bhang, BHANG. It's milk that's just had buds fucking soaking in it.
Sweet.
Fucking bong water. Is that what you're telling me?
So like that's what they do during Holi. They fucking throw pigment at each other and drink a bunch of weed milk.
Well,
everyone's happy.
It wasn't that.
Dude,
so
worst ways to spend
But
a
I'm
weekend.
just saying, like you had a pretty good excuse for having
Sure.
THC in your system.
and so and he said that it's like, oh well, we'll just make up this story. I was like, oh well, fuck it then. I said,
All
okay.
right.
So he said, well, you were easily convinced. I was like, well, yes, I was. I'll be right back. And so we basically took turns taking the pipe into the bathroom of the train.
Done this on Amtrak.
Yeah, which it's got the fan that blows directly out of the train car.
Yeah, it's just like
It's
an intake
perfect.
that just
Yeah, and it's gone. So, and there's squat toilets there on the train. So it was like, all right. So I just go into the toilet, close and lock the door, take a hit, blow it out the fan. Turn the fan on, blow it out the fan, and it's like you don't smell it. It is gone.
Right.
And so we took turns doing that for a while. Got pretty ripped on the train.
Nice.
We got off in New Delhi.
Is there smoking on the train? Cigarettes?
No.
Do people smoke cigarettes much in India?
Shitload.
Okay.
Yeah.
A shitload. Like Southeast Asia, like if you go to Thailand, or it was like everybody smokes.
No, I was gonna say like
Vietnam. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Ton of smoking there.
America's like one of the leading countries in kind of quitting smoking as a whole.
Like Europe,
seems like everywhere else you
China.
go, people just smoke them up.
Yeah, they do, and it's crazy. But we got into New Delhi, fairly buzzed, off the hash.
Yeah.
And I still had a pretty significant amount left from where I got to Goa, because it's like, I mean, we're taking 2 hits, 3 hits. We're not like chiefing it up and just getting trashed on this stuff.
right?
Well, we're getting trashed, but we're not. It doesn't take much. It's good hash. So we get to New Delhi, and then you're like all the signs. New Delhi train station is like one of the largest train stations in the world. And when I say that, I mean it's like you can get lost there because there's like probably 40 train tracks. There's a shitload.
Wow. Yeah.
And all the signs are in fucking Hindi.
Yeah.
Which is nothing. It's like, it's not like you can make it out like Spanish or say German, where you could look at it and kind of go, oh,
It's
that's
another
kind of
alphabet.
that word. It's squiggles. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say like
It's on the same par as like Arabic.
if you're an American, it's
not
it's
a fucking
noodles.
clue. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Might as well be
Yeah.
Mayan script. For all we know.
Not only can I not pronounce it, I can't even read it. Like nothing.
Not even close.
Not
yeah.
even close.
Wild.
So we wandered out and like, okay, I think we need to go this way. And I'm like looking at the Google Maps because we're in New Delhi, so I've got cell reception. And he was like adamant, like, no, we need to go back this way. And I'm like, come on, no, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the maps right now. Just trust the maps. Go this way. He was right. And at one point he said, you don't always have to be right about everything. And I was like, and this was like by the point where we were already out of the train station, and it was like, you're right. And that's something I struggle with, is like when I feel like I'm right about something, I just kind of get set on it, and that's a fault that I have. But we ended up at the backside of the New Delhi train station, which I don't know if you've ever been out the back of a train station. Well, what's out the back of a train station typically? The ghetto.
Yeah.
The shithole.
yeah.
Right? The like, all right, so he's like got a martial arts background, and he's kind of like looking around, and I'm like, okay, well, if he's looking around, then I'm looking around, and it's like I've got a knife on me, and it's like I don't have any guns. Like I feel more comfortable with a gun than a knife because I can put some distance. Like a knife is an intimate way of killing. You know,
you have to be trained in knife fighting to be effective.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm like, well, I got a knife, and he's like, yeah, he's like, I wouldn't even like use that unless you're comfortable with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and because he said it might get taken away from you.
That's exactly the issue.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, God damn, you're right. And so I was like, fuck, I can't use it. Like, I'm better off with fists than even pulling out a knife because now I'm introducing a knife to a fist fight.
I suggest that you're better off with feet and just running away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and like, there's...
That's always been my method. Yeah. Introduce feet. And then beat them right on the fuck out of trouble, dude.
I'm going to beat the shit out of this pavement right now.
Yeah, dude.
These bricks ain't got shit on me.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna just Michael Phelps my way right out of this and swim out of this situation.
Yeah.
But so these people are like, you know, I feel like there's a lot of eyes on us. And it was honestly probably because why are these white guys standing out the back of this train station with their bags that we can easily steal?
A couple Americans stumble out of the back
like,
of the
is
train
this a honey
station.
pot?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How much money do these guys have?
Like,
so I called an Uber, right, as we're like out there, and then waiting 6 minutes for an Uber to show up when you're in the slums of New Delhi is a long time.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, is this Uber going to rob us too, you know?
Sure.
And that's maybe that's my preconceived notions and my bias of being not from there. But no, you're in like one of the largest cities in the world in a slum, which there's probably a lot of murders there that are...
I feel like if you're just in a foreign place, paranoia is justified, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're just going to be on alert.
Yeah.
So
and then the funny thing is we got this Uber rickshaw. No, it was a car. It was an Uber car because you can get ricks too. But my friend wanted a car. He's like, no, let's just get a car and we'll get the hell out of here. So we got a car.
Fair.
And we went to the Imperial Hotel, which is probably one of the nicest hotels in New Delhi. And New Delhi is part of Delhi. Delhi's the city. New Delhi is kind of the center of Delhi.
No shit.
Yeah, so Delhi is like New Delhi is like a suburb of Delhi.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, so
I had that wrong forever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Delhi's huge.
Wild.
Yeah, so we were in New Delhi, which is kind of like downtown, and so we go to the Imperial, which was the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in my life, and it's got chandeliers, like insane.
Now, is it called Imperial because it's an old British hotel, or is it just a fancy hotel?
I think it was a palace sort of hotel. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
No, I think it is an old British hotel.
Okay.
Maybe started as a barracks originally, but then was converted, and it's massive, and it doesn't look like it's been repurposed. It's like massive, and the rooms are... it's huge. And your room has very high ceilings, like 30-foot ceilings.
Right.
Yes, like 30? Huge.
Fuck.
Yes,
That's a big
palatial,
fucking room.
like palatial, you know.
Is this the place that they gave you the watermelon
Yes,
juice
so
right
I get in my in my room, and the guy comes like 2 minutes later knocking on my door. I thought it was my friend, and it's just this guy giving me a glass of fresh squeezed watermelon juice. And I'd never had that in my life, and I'm just like, wow, okay, thank you, and took that and gave him a tip, and then I went in the bathroom, and they got European toilets and European showers, and in a lot of the hotels it was not a European shower, meaning that it's not like a tub with a shower. It's like a room that's got a toilet and a tile floor and then a handheld shower wand thing. That's what most of them are. Yeah. But the Imperial it was about $300 a night US.
Holy shit.
In New Delhi. So, 70 to 1 rupee conversion rate.
Right.
That's a shitload of money.
So that'd be crazy.
That's like 21,000 rupees a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, $300 a night there when it's 70 to 1. I mean, God, that's like probably a couple thousand a night here.
Right.
I mean, it's stupid. And every person greeted you, like, I don't care, every single employee that you walked past stopped what they were doing, faced you, and greeted you.
Wow.
asked how you were doing, asked if there was anything they could do for you, or anything they could get for you.
Yeah.
Every single one of them, without fail.
It's wild. That would make me so uncomfortable.
It made me, because I'm not used to that level, like that level of being catered on and waited on and served.
Yeah.
And there's like 6 restaurants in there, and one of the restaurants there has the table and chairs, the actual table and chairs that Gandhi, Lord Mountbatten, and Nehru sat at to negotiate the partitioning of India.
Right.
So, which I learned about that on Alice Obscura when I looked up the hotel that we were in. And so then I'm like, well, I got to sit, and I said, I asked him, like, well, can I sit in these? Because, here in the U.S., they'd have them fenced off and you wouldn't be able to touch them. But they're like, oh, yeah, go ahead. They, like, you could sit there and eat if you wanted.
Wild.
And so I sat down in, like, all the chairs and I'm like, oh, wow, this is cool. Because, it's like, well, that's the closest I've been to Gandhi,
Right.
So that was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And we stayed the night there. And then the next day, our drive, well, let's see, we got there in the morning, and then we had a guide take us to we went and toured some places. And I honestly do not remember the name of the where did we go? Qutb Minar, which is the largest minaret. You know what a minaret is?
No.
Okay, it's where they do the call to prayer. Muslim call to prayer is from a minaret. It's like a tower.
Yeah, the Muslim towers.
Yeah.
So this is this is the tallest minaret in the world.
Whoa.
It's like 300 feet.
Wow.
All made out of stone.
Okay.
But it was made like 1,100 years ago.
Whoa.
Not like, you think, 300 feet. Like, okay, that's 100 yards. That 300 feet's pretty tall.
Yeah.
But it's freestanding. It's not supported by anything.
Right.
All stone carved, and it was almost 1,200 years ago.
Wow.
And and it's got Arabic writing on it because it's Muslim. And the way that the words are carved, the Arabic is carved, is as it goes up, all the lettering is larger and larger. So when you're standing below it, looking at it, all the wording looks the same size, going all the way up.
Wild.
Arabics are good at math.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So yes, and we went to a palace. Humayun. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong, but Humayun, Humayun, Humayun's tomb, which looks kind of like the Taj Mahal.
Oh, right.
So Humayun's tomb was built by Humayun's wife as his tomb after he died, and then the Taj Mahal is modeled after Humayun's tomb.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, cool.
So they look very similar, but Humayun's was built first.
Wild.
Yeah, so...
Also had no idea.
Yeah.
And screw the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, right? Yeah, fuck it.
That's just, imitation.
Taj Mahal is in Agra, which is like 3-4 hours south of New Delhi. I wanted to go see it, but didn't get the chance, didn't have the time.
Right, you said you guys ended up skipping it.
Yeah, but you saw the OG, so...
It turns out.
Humayun's tomb. And the crazy thing is, going on our way there, we were in a taxi. The guy, not a taxi, but our guide was taking us around, and we stopped, and there was children doing little shows on the street, begging for money, and I cried there because we're talking like 4 or 5 year old kids begging on the side, in the median of the freeway.
Fuck.
And like doing little backflips and juggling, and like trying to tap on the windows.
I think we talked about this a little bit.
With the girl with the bloody hand.
Yeah.
And yes, that was on the way to Humayun's tomb. And then we got to Humayun's tomb, and it was just like we got.
And they just staged right in front on the path to the tourist destination.
Yeah, because and so they're tapping on the window, and the driver saying, "Don't roll down the window, don't give them anything." And my friend's saying the same thing, and it's just like, man, like it was. The human in me is like, you have to help these people. They need help, And we got to Humayun's tomb, and we went up in it and climbed up to the top, and you got a really good view of New Delhi around there. And I just sat down up there and I cried. And my friend's sitting with me, and it was just because there's so much suffering there.
Yeah.
There's so many people that are in such desperate situations, and that is all they will ever know. They will never escape that.
Right.
Yep.
No matter what. There are some people there. There are many, many people there that are... They were born into nothing, they will live in nothing, and they will die in nothing. And it's not their fault. And no matter how hard they work, they'll never escape it.
Right.
Because partially because of the caste system, partially because there's so many people, partially because of the world socioeconomic situation, that is their life. And, you know, it just made me like think, wow, I'm so fortunate to live where I live in this country, this amazing country where I've got so many opportunities, and they did nothing wrong, but look where they are.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, once again with the perspective, just
Yeah.
like, damn,
Right.
dude,
Yeah.
you know, like, I bitch about a lot of things, but when you see stuff like that, you're just like, well...
maybe it's not so bad.
You know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. People complain about a lot in this country, but it's like, this country has so many things going right for it, it's not even funny.
Yeah, totally. And it's a live within your means thing. I mean, I still feel right about the things I bitch about, but, you know, the perspective sometimes where you're just like, well, shit, alright. Like, I guess it's not even that, like, I feel bad about the things I bitch about, it's just that I am more grateful for the things I have, so...
Absolutely.
Well, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, you don't want to just shrug your shoulders until you're sitting in the slums.
Yeah.
And just be like, well, I have it so good that I can't complain about this.
Yep.
It's like, no, that's, you know, it's fine. It's just that thinking about those other people that are not in the fortunate situation that we're in, where it's like, right now, literally, I could get basically anything I want.
Yeah.
Right now, like at this exact moment.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything I want.
Yeah, I could Postmates us fucking anything you wanted.
Yeah.
Like, right now. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there is not much out of my grasp at this moment. And there, you go over there, and it's like there is not much that's in their grasp.
Right.
Like, they really rely on everybody else for most everything. Just the kindness of strangers.
Right.
Which there isn't a lot of, necessarily. When it's
Right.
like, they feel like, oh, well, that's how you were born, and that's your life. And
Well, and especially like when you've grown up in such a fucking horribly abusive system that like you're not even begging for yourself, you know, you're begging for someone who holds your fucking purse strings.
Yeah, exactly. So we explored Delhi, and then we stayed the night at the Imperial, which was amazing, and got up and had, one of those typical amazing breakfasts. And then we had a driver arranged to take us to the airport because we were going from there to Varanasi.